Ladies and gentlemen, AOC thinks billionaires are impossible.
There's a certain level of wealth and accumulation that is unearned, right? You can't earn $1 billion.
That's right.
I'm Rich Lowry of National Review, and of course that was AOC, and she was talking to a comedian with a podcast. Everyone has podcasts these days, named Alana Glazier, about billionaires and wealth creation. And this is worth dwelling on because it gets not just to the thoughtlessness of AOC, which we're all already aware of, but the thoughtlessness of the underlying worldview and a huge contradiction of socialism. So I want to describe all this in some detail if you bear with me. But first, let's go to AOC and what it is about this magic number. Why a billion is a big problem and impossible, in fact, whereas 999 million apparently isn't. Here's more from AOC.
You just can't earn that.
That's exactly correct.
You can get market power, you can break rules, you can do all sorts of things. You can abuse labor laws,
Yep.
You can pay people less than what they're worth,
Yep.
But you can't earn that, right?
That's
And
right.
so you have to create a myth that since you didn't earn that, you have to create a myth of earning it.
So she's basically saying the only way you can become a billionaire is to lie, cheat, and steal or establish a monopoly. So let's look at the three perhaps most famous billionaires in the United States: Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg. Where did these guys come from, right? Did they inherit or just become the CEO of big incumbent companies that had all sorts of advantages because they've been around for so long? No, they created their stuff out of nowhere. There was no reason anyone should have heard of Elon Musk or Bezos or Zuckerberg. They had brilliant ideas. And that's such a crucial thing when thinking about success in a market economy. It depends on ideas. And then, of course, follow through. So these were guys who are brilliant, had ideas for how to disrupt the markets. And AOC talked about breaking the rules. Yeah, they did break the rules, not in the way she's thinking. They broke the rules because they had a new way of doing things that transformed their industries. Just think about Amazon for a minute. Think about the value to consumers, right? Cheaper products that are available with a couple clicks and delivered to your door now almost instantly, like sometimes just hours later. So it's saving you money and it's saving your time because you don't have to drive to the store, and very often you're wasting your time. You go to the store and they don't have what you want. You have to drive somewhere else, or you just have to give up for that day. And instead, Amazon has transformed that whole experience. Is that just worth, how much is that supposed to be worth according to AOC? Just $50 million to Jeff Bezos for coming up with that, and in years, decades of effort to making it a reality, or just 999 million? No, it's an incalculable benefit to consumers and to our society. Same thing with Zuckerberg. Let's look at Meta, just two of the things they do, right? Facebook and Instagram. 3 billion users on Facebook around the world. I think it's also 3 billion users on Instagram around the world. Now, you may think social media is not the best thing for our society. It's not, but people find it valuable to be able to share information with others, to share videos with others, to see what's going on with other people. AOC herself is very good at this. So again, how much is that worth? Just 999 million? Why would you put that artificial cap on it? And this is another crucial point. These things succeed because of consumer choices. We live in a system, thank goodness, where there's not just one entity, powerful entity, that can put its finger on the scale and say, you know what, now you're a billionaire because you're connected to the right people. No, it's billions of consumers making choices that drive the value of these companies and then make their founders and CEOs so extremely wealthy justly. And Elon Musk, look, how long had people thought or dreamed about, let's make a cool electric car that people actually want to drive? He did it. and he's transformed the American space industry on his own. Again, you can't put a price tag on this, but it's certainly worth more than 999 million as AOC would think. Now, how about some figures that AOC is probably more sympathetic to than she is to Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos? What about an Oprah or Beyonce or Seinfeld or Taylor Swift? Did Beyonce get rich through paying labor not what it deserves, right? Or cheating people out of their wages? No, again, all these people got extremely wealthy, good for them, because people were interested in paying for their entertainment products. Again, the aggregation of a bunch of small d democratic choices added up to their wealth. Then there are the billionaires like J.B. Pritzker or Tom Steyer or George Soros that presumably even AOC doesn't think got rich through cheating, or at least she would never say it because they're huge Democratic donors, but very successful investors. And in a market economy, when you make the right choices and you put your money on the line and you grow the value of something, you get rewards for it. We don't hear about the people who make poor choices because they don't make money in our system. And that's the way it's supposed to work. And this goes to a key contradiction of socialism. Now, AOC and other socialists want to argue you only get rich through the system being unfair and being rigged in your favor by powerful rules, and you're distorting those rules in order to help your business. And look, Elon Musk, he got tax credits for electric vehicles. I don't think those should ever existed, but does AOC oppose those tax credits? We're encouraging AI, we're encouraging green energy, and we are helping through government policies, in those cases, people who are very rich. So should we do away with all those things? I think yes. But AOC is a socialist, not a libertarian, so she thinks no. So this is the irony. People like her want more of an economy where the incumbent powers, elected officials, and bureaucrats can help decide who gets rich and how, which is the complete opposite of what she's saying that she wants. So the answer here to the cronyism is more market economics. It's not more socialism. Now, AOC went on X. She tried to defend her view from critics who said, yes, of course you can make a lot of money freely and fairly in our society. And she said, no, you can't. She cited the example of Airbnb of all things. She says someone can certainly make $1 billion, but that's not the same thing as earning. Growing fast and disrupting markets also means chasing and wielding market power, political influence, and scale. Take Airbnb. It could not exist at its current scale and size without the housing market destabilizations, displacements, and exploits that are supercharging the evictions of working people everywhere from Puerto Rico to Jackson Hole. Now young people are planning for a future where they'll never be able to afford a home while others have 20 and live off renting it out to them at extortionate rates with zero protections. So this probably makes less sense than anything she said to this point, which is saying a lot. So why do we have a problem with housing and housing prices in this country? It's because government has various policies to stoke demand for housing. At the same time, it crimps supply. So when demand goes up and supply goes down or stays the same or doesn't grow enough, the price goes up. We limit supply through zoning laws and various regulations that make it harder to build new housing. And Airbnb doesn't have anything fundamentally to do with this dynamic whatsoever. It's people who have an extra room or are going to be gone from their house for a while or have an extra house or whatever it is, renting it out on a short-term basis to people who want to travel and need some place to stay. It is a classic instance of supply meeting demand. As the Washington Post pointed out in an editorial, this has nothing to do with driving the prices of housing higher in any fundamental manner. New York City has banned Airbnb. Is housing cheap in New York City? No, it's not. And again, this is an instance of there being a service that is popular because people like using it, right? They like using it. That's the definition. The Post points out, I think in the first 3 months of this year, $3 billion worth of transactions on Airbnb, people renting the places out. And then the company only got about 150 or 160 million dollars of that. So again, these are small d democratic choices. And by the way, no matter how much AOC dislikes Airbnb or dislikes SpaceX and Tesla or Amazon or whatever it is. Maybe these companies will be established in an enduring fashion for decades to come. But what always happens once they're established, someone comes around and disrupts them, in turn, comes up with a new idea, is faster, more nimble, and that changes everything. Again, that's how a market economy works in contrast to a socialist economy that has more stasis. But AOC thinks billionaires are so bad that the American Revolution was all about opposing the billionaires of the time.
The American Revolution was against the billionaires of their time. And we are declaring independence from such an extreme marriage of wealth and power and the state.
That's so bad, it's almost hard to know where to start. So the American Revolution at its foundation was about establishing our independence and our right to self-government, and was about opposing unconstrained government power. There should be constitutional bounds on the power of government, an elemental commitment of the founders, but they didn't oppose private wealth. They were quite wealthy themselves. George Washington, of course, big landowner. Robert Morris, underappreciated figure in the American Revolution, sometimes referred to as the financier of the American Revolution, helps bankroll the cause because he's so extremely wealthy. John Hancock, also quite wealthy. We could go down the list. Now, she does hit on a kernel of truth at the end of that clip where she says they would have opposed the marriage of wealth and power and the state. Yeah, because no one used this term at the time, because that's socialism. That's what they opposed, and that's what AOC supports. By the way, I want to address another point. People very often say, AOC said this a lot too, that the wealthy don't pay their fair share. That is completely wrong. We addressed this in an editorial in National Review just the other day. So here we are, and I think this point is just worth underlining because it comes up so often and so wrong. As of the most recent federal tax data from 23, the top 1% of taxpayers earned 21% of all adjusted gross income in the country. Of course, that's quite a lot, but the same group of highest earners paid 38% of all federal income taxes collected, almost double their share of income. Those earners between the top 5 and 1% also made outsized contributions, paying 21% of income taxes on 16% of national income. The entire bottom half of taxpayers, meanwhile, paid just 3% of total income taxes. In short, if you're a billionaire in our society, you are very, very likely to have earned it with incredible talent, determination, imagination, and hard work, whereas those qualities are not so necessary with some other roles in our society, including, being a celebrity congresswoman. I'm Rich Lowry, over and out.